And welcome back everyone to the Rampage channel. Hope everyone's having an awesome day. It is Sunday, so kind of a nice video to recap the week. And today, welcome to the start of a new series that we're gonna have. This 10-minute opening breakdowns. So today we're gonna talk about the Italian or 3 bishop c4, all these kind of diversions. It's an opening that I really recommend you guys play. It's a little bit more nuanced, but I think once you guys try, you'll get the hang of it. You'll start to like it. You're not grandmasters. You're not gonna play this perfectly, but neither are your opponents, right? So you just gotta keep that in mind. So let's get started. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, let's get going. So you see e4, e5 already. You are going to start with e4 because you are the e4 attacker. Now again, if they play c5, I will have a video on what I recommend against c5, which is c3, the Alapin. But you know that'll come a little bit later. They are gonna play e5, and most of the time they are gonna play e5 because they're trying to copy you, like at the lower levels. So you play knight f3, knight c6, and you play bishop c4. And it's kind of the start of the Italian, where you put pressure on the weakest point in Black's camp, which is the f7 pawn. And they basically have two real choices here. They can play bishop c5, or they can play knight f6. Now, let's go into the play knight f6 first, because sometimes they try to be different, so they try to play knight f6 first. Now, this is somewhat refuted, but I still recommend you play it, is that you play knight g5. And you attack the f7 pawn and with the bishop and the knight. So now they're forced to play d5. There's also another like counter gambit with bishop c5, but all you need to know is that you should take on f7 with the bishop. As soon as you slide it over, slide the king over, slide your bishop back so that there's no bishop f2 with knight g4 because you're covering all the squares with your queen and your king, and you'll be fine, right? That's all you have to know. Don't take on f7 with a knight because then there's bishop f2 tricks, and then there's like knight e4, and then they're going to try to debate you with queen h4, and there's so many tricks in these positions but that you don't have to go into. So, what I recommend is that you play knight g5, they will play d5, take, and a lot of things will happen is that if they take on d5, hit them with knight f7. So the fried liver takes, queen f3, I have another video about this, king e6, and then you play knight c3, you put pressure on the pinned piece. This is just an example, but this is a thing that could happen in a lot of your guys' games, right? So, what I recommend is that you play knight g5. Now the correct line is to play d5, takes, and then knight a5. Some, like your opponents will play this, and then you play bishop b5 check, c6, you take, and then I recommend not playing your bishop to e2. This is a very nuanced approach that I really hate because you play h6 and they attack you with e4, and then you're not very happy here. I recommend you play bishop d. Excuse me. I recommend you play bishop d3 so that if they play h6, you have the knight e4 square. And then if they take, then you play bishop b6. Like there's always these b4 kind of ideas to attack the knight, like c3 and then b4. And then your bishop is very active here. So this is kind of what I recommend. Now let's say they play bishop c5. Now, if they play bishop c5, play c3. It doesn't really matter the move order. I would say play c3, but first, because you never know if they're going to play knight f6 or try to bait you with knight e7. Play c3 first, so you're setting up d4, right? If they do nothing, by the way, play a6, this is a huge win for you, because now you have the big wide center with the whole happy family, the bishop on c4, knight at f3. You're going to develop your knight to c3, they'll play knight f6, and you can even attack them in the center, and then if they go back, you can attack them more. Like, it's just your position to go with, right? So, that's if they do nothing. Now, if they play knight f6, don't play d3. I know you've seen a lot of my games where I play d3, but play d4. And this is what I really like, because you are forcing something very, you are forcing a hard line for your opponent to play. So more often than not, they are going to take because they see pawn, they take pawn, right? So don't play e5. Again, you can play e5, this is fine, because if you play didn't, but then you have to learn d5, and then the correct move is not to take, because then you like there's this whole line, rabbit hole, where you're losing g7, but then the queen in e7 check, and then your king is attacked. So this is wrong, and then you have to play like bishop b5, and then they play knight e4, and then you take, bishop b6, knight c3, bishop g4, there's a whole line, it's a whole line. You don't have to go into that. Take back with the c pawn. Now, when you first look at this, you're probably thinking, Rampage and Rooks, that's just losing a pawn. Because I play bishop b4 check, and then I take on e4. Correct. That's the point. you should play knight c3. And this is the line that I learned in the like a while ago that I really like. You gambit the pawn. You see the house burning down on the queen side, so you just leave the house. Because now their knight on e5, knight on e4 is attacked. And let's say if they take on c3, just to show you guys how bad this can get. We take back on c3, they take, and how do we stop them from castling? This is also a thing that you need to think about in chess. They really just want to castle. For example, if you play rook b1, they castle, and they're winning because they're up 2 pawns. They're up C and B pawns, right? So this is not good. Cut their king's escape. Bishop a3, crisscross applesauce with your bishops, and then if they take the rook and think that they're up so much material, check them. They have to block with the knight because we guarded that whole line, and then takes, queen takes a1. And more of like I've had this position actually over the board, and I won a really nice game with this. Because at the 1500 level, or even up to the 1500 level, but this is mostly designed for like those kind of players. Your opponent is gonna go this whole rabbit hole because they're saying takes me up 2 pawns, but you can actually play this move. Remember this move, bishop a3, by the way, because otherwise you won't be winning. You cut this off, and then you're gonna play rook e1 anyway, or queen e2 check, and they're in serious trouble with their king, right? So the correct move is for them to play bishop takes c3. And now, you should not take back. It's a hard thing to kind of think about, but if you see this, either play queen e2, attack their knight, or play d5. d5 is the line I really like, because then you attack their knight. By the way, you don't want to take back because they'll play d5 themselves, and if they get this whole consolidation, they're actually up a pawn here. And then our pawns are also weak, so we can't like play c4 because they play bishop e6, and then we can take, but then they take, and then we can take, but then they take. Like there's so many things that could just go wrong. So play d5, and this is such a fun line, and I might make another video but just about this line. There's so many variations to this line I could talk about. But the point is that you attack the knight, and by the way, if they play like knight a5, let's just show you how bad this gets. I play bishop d3. If they play bishop b4, I take, and if they castle, we hit them with the Greek gift with bishop h7, takes, knight g5, and if queen g6, we have like queen d3 check, and then f5, and then queen h3. Like we can hit them from all kinds of board, all the sides of the board, right? So this is how bad it can get really quickly. So what they're gonna play is that they're gonna play bishop f6, then we play rook e1. And then there's this whole line actually. It's a really interesting line. I recommend you guys take a look at it. Is that they play 97. We take. They play d6. We play bishop g5. They take. We take. And it's a very huge line where they play h6. And then here you see the knight going. Don't move it. Queen e2 takes and rook e1. And I'm not going to show the whole line because it's also very hard to memorize. But the point is that you're making the king get stuck in the center, and you're just kind of belligerently attacking your opponents. This is why I kind of recommend this knight c3 and knight e4 and castles. And a lot of your opponents are just going to see this and they're going to snap take. But we already saw that you can play bishop a3 there, right? So let's say they play like knight f6. They shy away from the battle. This is also completely winning because now we play d5, and you see the initiative that we have. They have to go back. We play rook e1 check, and then we play like d6 takes, and we play like knight d5, and we have so much play here on the king side that like this is very close to just being losing because if they take, we take, right? And their queen is offsides. We're gonna infiltrate with our rook. This is such a hard position for black to play. And you will see that in a lot of your games, this is going to happen, and you're going to be very happy about this happening. So I do recommend playing knight c3, knight e4. And just to give you guys a quick overview, if you do want to play d3, which is what you're going to play when you're a little bit higher rated, they're going to castle, and you castle d6. And the plan here for white is to play rook e1, and you want to move this knight to f1 to g3. What do I mean by that? I'll show you guys an example. d2, knight h6, knight f1, a6, knight g3. This is an example, obviously, but if they play a6, I'll finish the example. you're gonna play knight g3, and the main point is that when you want to play knight g3, you're heading for the f5 square. The f5 square for white is the cornerstone, right? This is the cornerstone of the match because or of the game because you're gonna play knight h4 and then you're gonna play knight f5. For example, let's say your opponent does nothing. Move back, move back, move back. You play queen f3, and now you're all of a sudden threatening bishop h6. If they play knight h7, you can play queen g4. Like, it's such an easy position to play. And now this is a plan. This is just a plan for white to play knight h4, knight f5, and it's to kind of shy away. Sometimes you do want to play d4 though. For example, if you play knight g3, right, and they play bishop e6, you take, and then you can already go for d4 here. They have to take, but you also gotta be mindful that if they take, remember this, if they take, then they're actually allowing you to play d5 and fork both of those pieces. So if they do nothing, d5, and you're already winning. This is a very common trap in this Italian opening, is that when they play rook e6 and they think they're fine, you can actually play this d4 quick d5, and then now they have to really pay attention to the position. So again, this is a quick 10-minute recap. So just to give a quick overview, if they play bishop c5, play c3 and then play d4. If you want to play d3, make sure to go knight d2, knight f1, knight g3, because the knight is on g3, is where you want it to be. And I recommend you play d4, and then you don't play e5, but you can play e5, but I recommend you play c takes d4, because then you get this whole attacking position where your opponent is forced into very forced moves. Like, they're forced into only moves, basically. And just to give a recap, if they play knight f6 on move 2, please don't think that there's some genius, because ultimately at the higher levels they will be, but at your guys' level they won't be, because now knight g5, knight f7, and there's so many counter gambits. But as long as you come back, and then you can, as long as you follow this kind of trajectory, you'll kind of be fine, right? So that was kind of the 10-minute recap. Kind of went a little bit over, but if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like and comment below, and let me know if I should continue the series. Kind of trying something new, trying something out that's fairly new. And until next time, my jokes out.